So let's look at the design and implementation of a class for storing grades. So, usually you're going to use these vectors not in main, but you're going to use them as private data members in a class. And therefore, you'll be able to use your own, you'll be able to develop your own containers for storing collections of objects by using the vector class. And I'm going to assume that, my grades are just integers. You could use a vector of strings. So, for example, if you had grades that looked like, well, first of all, if you had grades that looked like this, then you could use a vector of character for your grades. If you're a student at Georgetown, as you know, we give out A's and A minuses and B pluses and things like that. And you have to use a string to do that. And you can see that I'm using the same vector, but by simply providing a type between the angle brackets. And the angle brackets is where you provide a type for the template class. What I'm doing here is I'm instantiating this template class with the type character, with the type string. But I'm just going to assume that our grades are numeric grades. So in my private section here, I am going to declare a vector of integers called grades. And there are all kinds of methods that we could, think about. I'm not going to be exhaustive, but we'll have a default constructor. I am going to implement a couple of read methods that will let us read a set of grades from a file. And I'm going to implement two of those. One will be with a file name. And then the other, in case someone already has an open input stream, I'm going to give them a method for that. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm overloading these methods, right? Remember that method overloading is when I have a method of the same name with two different parameters. So if someone passes in a file name with a string, then I'm going to open the input file stream, and then we'll just pass that along to this read method. This just gives the programmer a few more options in case there's some other stream that they want to read from. Maybe this is a network connection. Not everything comes from a file with a name. I'll also implement a print method. And maybe we'll pass in an O stream called out that defaults to cout. And this should be constant because it's not going to change anything. And of course, what do we want to do with grades? We want to average them. So I will implement an average method. And this also should be a constant method because it's not changing the values. Now this is pretty limited. All we can do is read information from a file, print it, and average it. But you can imagine many more methods. I'm really just trying to illustrate ways that we can insert information into the vector, visit the elements of the vector, and then do some calculations. So this is good enough for now. And we'll look at implementations of these methods in the next video lectures.